Hello, I'm Jack Grady, and on behalf of the Archives and History Committee of the First Baptist Church on the Square, we welcome Korean War veteran Harold Harris. Harold, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us some of your experiences during your time in the Army. We appreciate your presence this morning, and we thank you for all that you've done here in our church. You're very, very involved. I know you're in the senior adult choir along with other things, but maybe we'll touch on that a little bit later. I want to ask you a couple of questions. Were you drafted, or did you volunteer for the Army?
I was drafted.
You were drafted, and when was this?
This was on the 21st day of July, 1953.
The actual war began, I believe, a couple of 3 years earlier than that, didn't it? Seems like it was in 1950. So here we are on June the 14th, 2013. So it's been a long time, quite a while. June 14th, that's Flag Day. So it's appropriate that you're talking about your World War, your Korean War experience on Flag Day. Service to our country. Well, Harold, tell me a little bit about your basic training that you went through, where it was and how it developed and what you were involved with.
Okay, on July the 21st, 1953, we left Wedowee, Alabama, headed to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. We stayed in Fort Jackson about 10 days, and we loaded up and went from there to Camp Rooker, Alabama, and that's where we did our basic training.
Camp Rooker, that was down around Ozark, was it?
It's down close to Dothan.
Dothan.
There.
Mm-hmm.
It's now not, it now goes by Fort Rooker.
Fort Rooker.
It's a helicopter.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Base in there now.
Right.
But it was down there in the South Alabama in mid-July and August, and it was hot and snaky. And
snaky?
Yeah, they had a lot of snakes out there. But
and how long a period of time was basic training for you?
We had 16 weeks.
16 weeks, wow.
Mm-hmm. On there, and when we finished up our basic training there, they transferred us from there to Fort Benning, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
And there at Fort Benning is where I stayed the rest of my time.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when we went to Fort Benning, and they had started to send a new group to Korea, and I was the last name on the list. And they had this program of going, trying to get people to re-enlist before they wouldn't have to draft any more in.
Sure.
So they had a group big enough that wanted to re-enlist, provided they would let them be the next batch to go to Korea. Mm. So they signed up, and they took us off and sent another group to Korea.
I see. During your basic training experience, how about describing one of your most challenging experiences that you had during that time?
Well, I guess one of the most challenging things on that was when we were going through the obstacle course.
Oh, yes.
So it was, you had to be in pretty good shape to keep up and make it through. And
well, you were a farm boy, weren't you?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you made it fine.
Yeah, well, I made it. By the time we got up to this, we had already been doing enough stuff that we were built up and were getting stronger in each phase of our duties.
Okay.
Out there. So the ones that they had the hardest time was the ones that didn't do a lot of outside work during the summer times.
Sure.
Down here.
Yes.
And of course the heat bothered all of us some for a while, but some of them was worse than the others.
Yeah. So this was in the dead of summer.
Yeah.
Summertime.
Yes.
Well, where were you assigned then after? Tell us a little bit about that. How your plans or your expectations changed?
Well, after we got to Fort Benning, we was reassigned to classes where they were still training people, and I was assigned to the 30 caliber machine gun group.
30 caliber machine gun?
Yeah, the air cooled.
Had you ever had any experience with a machine gun before?
Nothing except what I had in basic training.
Yeah,
I was trained on one in basic training.
So it wasn't new to you?
No, the 30 caliber wasn't new to me. I had experience with it.
Yes. And what did you do as a part of your assignment?
As the instructor was teaching the class and telling them the different phases, as he was talking, I would break that piece off of the machine gun, and we had the blanket there. We just took it apart, completely apart, every part would come loose, spread them out on there. Then the class, they would come up and they would look at it, and then they would watch me put it back together.
So you had to know it well, didn't you?
Yeah, you had to know.
Yes.
But
they were watching you very carefully.
But during basic training, as many times I had to tear it down and clean it up and put it back together. It was almost something you could do in the dark.
I guess you could. Okay. And then what did you do after that?
And after that, we had a medical group from up north came down. They had a whole battalion of it there. They were training these medics and doctors how to do things on the field. They had big tent hospitals set up, and we left from Fort Benning, Georgia, walked across country to Camp Rooker, Alabama, like we were fighting a battle.
Wow.
And they had the people would come along and put a tag on you, telling you how you were wounded. And
Okay.
so the medics come by and picked you up and took care of you. And some they would move in ambulance, some did move by helicopter.
Well, practical experience.
It's experience.
Yeah.
In other words, they were doing exactly what they would be doing if they were in a battle.
Yes.
But they would carry us back to the hospital and process us through there and take care of our wounds, load us on trucks, and carry us back to there for replacements.
You were actually involved in some of the supervision or training of that, or did you went through it yourself first, I guess?
Yeah, I went through that first.
And then you were doing some of the actual training.
Yeah, we were doing portions of it. We wasn't really in charge of it, but we were doing what we were assigned to do to it.
Sure.
Because it all boils down to teamwork.
Teamwork.
Yeah, if team knows what they're doing and what each one knows what he's supposed to do, and
Yes.
he do what he does and the next man does his, and it all comes out to the good.
Did you, looking back on it, did you learn some things that you could apply to your life in the years after that?
Yes, we did. I learned on there that if you work with people as a team, you can accomplish more at anything you're doing if it's teamwork is involved in it. If you work as a team, you get more done. It'd be done easier than it is if you try to do it all on your own.
Good. Yeah, good advice for almost any person in any experience, any situation.
And you can look at it as a different way even after you got out of the Army. In your regular life out here, there's things that you learned in the Army that you can apply to this, and it makes life easier. And
yeah, good. I'm glad you mentioned that. Well, share with us, if you will, one of your most memorable experiences, maybe a couple of them, I'm sure you've got a lot of them.
Yeah, I got some memorable experiences. One that has really stayed with me is when we were supposed to be going to Korea, and these guys re-enlisted to go first. One of the guys that I taken basic training with, he was from Waycross, Georgia. His name was Harold Way Casey. He took my place. And when they assigned him, he was assigned in my place. And later on, we had heard he got killed.
Now, he was one of those who had re-enlisted,
Re-enlisted.
and you had expected to, of course, go with your unit,
Yeah.
but because he was a re-enlistment, he took your place.
Yeah. Yeah. He was not
then-
on the original
Yeah,
list to
so
go.
there was
he was a.
You said something about a number of them that would
Yeah,
re-enlist.
there was a number. There was
Yeah.
a big number of them.
Mhm.
There were enough re-enlisted. The ones that was assigned to be gone, didn't any of them have to?
Did it surprise you that these guys wanted to go back or wanted to be assigned?
Yeah, I was surprised two ways. I was surprised that they wanted to, and I was also, after the time that I had been in the Army and there were rules and regulations and things, I was surprised that they let them do that.
I see.
I mean, it was, because it was, to me, was from what they taught me in there, it was kind of out of the ordinary for them
Yeah.
to do something.
Do you think they
that
were just
nature.
looking for people with experience?
Yeah, they was.
Is that part of it?
Yeah, they were wanted people. They had to have people that had already been through basic training and
Knew
had
what to
this training
expect, so on.
and
Okay.
knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Well, go ahead with some of your memories.
And like I said, so we had heard a few years later that Harold Way Casey was killed. And about 25 years after then, he called me.
25 years.
And he was
Had he
living.
been reported killed in action?
He was reported to us that he was killed in action.
Mm.
And he called me, and he
Wow.
was living within 3 miles of where I was
What an
living.
experience,
And
yeah.
I'd been living there for a time. But then I tried to get back in contact with him on there, and his phone had been disconnected, and his apartment was empty, and I've never heard anything from him since.
Disappeared again.
He disappeared again.
Wow. And you've never heard from
So I
him?
never heard from him again,
Didn't know how to contact him?
and still don't know how to contact him.
That's got to be something that you think of from
But-
time to time. That
The thing about
bit
it is,
worrisome.
after I talked to him on there, it made me feel a lot better that he didn't get killed in my
Well,
place.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's
So
that
that,
is a significant point.
so
Yeah, sure is. Well, that's quite a story. Quite a story. Anything else you'd like to share?
but
with us?
I got a lot of stories I could tell,
Okay.
but one other one that really stuck to me. While we were training these medical people, we were down below Eufaula, Alabama, out in the country. And everybody except me and my assistant on the machine gun was notified they were going to pull back a little bit and take a day off for rest. We were not notified. We had already been told that the next morning we were going to continue moving forward. So the next morning we started moving on forward like we was supposed to be. And it was just he and I by ourselves.
The rest of them didn't get the word.
The rest of them didn't. The rest of them got the word to go back, but we didn't get didn't get the word.
All right. So what did you do then?
So
you found the two of you found yourselves out in the field.
Yeah, we came up on a farmhouse late that afternoon, and we were not supposed to take anything from anybody. We were not permitted to go in a store or anything to buy anything.
You in uniform, of course.
Yeah, we were in uniform, and we came up to this house there. We hadn't had anything to eat all day, so we asked this farmer there how close it was for closest store, and he said about 7 miles.
7 miles.
We asked him if he would
That's a
take
pretty
us
good hike, wasn't it?
Yeah, we asked him if he would take us to that store where we could get something to eat, and he says no. He says I won't carry you, but says my wife will fix you a meal.
Fix you up, prepare you a meal. Wow.
So he walked in the house and came out with a big butcher knife, went to the smokehouse and sliced off a big slice of country ham. And she fixed country ham and eggs.
You
and
were
biscuits.
living high on the hog.
So he wanted us to go in his house and sleep that night, and we told him we wouldn't. We'd go sleep in the yard or on the front porch because we wasn't permitted to go in the house. So we stayed there, and the next morning he got up, his wife had coffee and ham and eggs and biscuits for breakfast.
Ham and eggs and
So
biscuits.
up in about the middle of the morning, so the rest of them caught up with us, They had never missed us.
Missed you.
So they caught up with us there, and they told us we was going to dig in foxholes there, and we would stay there for the overnight, and the next day, it was on a Saturday.
So your unit did regroup?
Yeah, we all regrouped then there, and everybody set up on the perimeter. So we had to dig a foxhole for this .30 caliber machine gun out there in the man's front yard.
You dug the hole in his front yard. What did he say about that?
He didn't say anything about it.
He was well interested, I'm sure, in what you were doing.
Yeah, because he knew they had a crew coming behind to straighten up and clean up all the stuff
I see.
there. But anyway, he was real interested in that machine gun. He stayed out there with us.
He enjoyed it.
There, yeah, and it was like a day at a circus for lots of us. So
I guess so.
But on Sunday, about lunchtime Sunday, they told us that they was going to give us word if we had to fire up all that blank ammunition, and what we didn't fire up was going to have to carry with us. So it had turned out to where when they give us word to fire, there was no officers or anything around. So
you had quite a bit of ammunition.
Yeah, we had a lot of ammunition, and I took boxes of ammunition and hooked the belts together where it wouldn't slow us down changing from one belt to the other. So I told this fella there, I said, jump down here in this hole with us, and I said, I'll let you run some of these rounds.
The
farmer?
Yeah.
So he run that blank ammunition through that machine gun for us.
He did have fun.
Then he got him a few of the shells to keep for a souvenir.
I bet he talked about that for years.
Yeah, he had neighbors that came over before we left, and he was showing them shell casings and pointing out to that machine gun. We couldn't hear what he was telling him, but he was pointing out to that machine gun.
I guess those neighbors could hear all the commotion down there.
Yeah, they were
curious about what was happening.
There was a whole perimeter, and everybody was firing. There was other machine guns and rifles and firing out there. But anyway, we got rid of the ammunition where we wouldn't have to carry it.
Yes.
And he was happy, and we were too.
I bet. I'm sure. Well, that is an interesting anecdote.
So
Good story.
I can't remember the man's name. He had kind of a funny name. I never could pronounce it right when he told me what it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was.
You ever think about going back to visit him?
Well, I wouldn't know how to get to it. We were close to a main road.
You just happened to come up on it.
We just happened to come up on it.
When you were wandering in the woods.
Because the roads that came in there to it were dirt roads.
Okay.
And all I know, he was just south of Eufaula, Alabama.
Yeah, okay. Well, how did things kind of wind down for you? The war ended and then you were discharged, or what happened?
Yeah, this was, when we went through there, was in January and February of 1955. And on the 7th of June, 1955, I was discharged from Fort Benning, but I was assigned to the active reserve.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I stayed in active reserve. I was discharged from active reserve on the 30th of June in 1961.
Oh, okay. So you been on full duty, say, for about 2 years, and then in reserve until 61. That would have been.
Yeah, I was in military service there for 1 year, 10 months, and 17 days.
Almost 2 years. But then you were in the reserve for another 6 years. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if the war broke out, we would have been ready to call back and going in without any training.
Yes.
Been ready to.
Yeah, good. Have any other thoughts you'd like to share with us, or experiences?
Well, at the time when I went in service, I had just got married in September of 1952.
Well, this is just before you.
Just before I went in next June.
Okay.
But to me, after it was hard to go, but after it was all said and done, it was a privilege to serve my country.
And how did Nelda, your wife, feel about that?
Well, she hated to see me go too.
Sure.
But,
yeah.
It's something that had to be done.
And she understood that.
And we understood.
Yes.
But it was a privilege and an honor to serve my country.
Difficult in a way, but
Difficult, but in one way, but other ways it was a privilege and an honor.
Feel good about it.
Yeah, I got no regrets on it.
Well, that's a wonderful spirit. That's
But
great. That's great.
And of course, like I say, the Army did a great deal for me, and forming up,
Focusing
focusing
the rest of your years.
for the rest of my years down. It was a good experience.
Good.
There for that. And another thing, I trusted and thanked the good Lord that He was able to take care of me and my family,
And your family.
through these times.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's great, and I appreciate so much you sharing that with us. We appreciate you and Nelda here in our church. Y'all are involved in so many ways in the senior adult ministry, music ministry, and all of these things. And I know you are always ready and willing to, when you're called on for service projects of various kind, ministries. So we thank you for that. So we thank you for your military service to our country and your church service.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Harold.
all right.
Good to visit with you.
All right.